shit. Yeah. Am I sideways? I hope I'm not sideways, folks. I said something about rotating my phone, but I'm hoping maybe it's all right. I don't need to rotate it or anything like that. Let me get all my stuff situated here. There we go. Uh-oh, I got nobody to shout out to today. Oh well, I'm gonna clean my glasses. Glasses is dirty. You know, I clean my glasses more than anybody I think I know. I can't stand. I got long hair, and you know your hair stays naturally greasy anyway, so I get grease prints on my freaking glasses. Now I'm stuck. Here, let's see. There we go. What's up? Let's see who we got out there. Ashley fell asleep yesterday while I was live. Damn, was I that boring? Woo, I'm boring people to sleep, y'all. You believe that? How about that? Well, hopefully you'll stay awake for the ride today. I'm going the long way today. I'm hoping maybe my, well, wait a minute. Let's see. How much gas do I have? Oh, yeah. I can go the long way today. So you'll have me for an extra 10 minutes or so today. How about that shit? So you can let me know when I'm getting, like, weird and stuff. Grandma Margaret. Is Grandma Margaret on there? Oh, she is. Hi, Mom. Well, why is she not showing up? It says I've only got one viewer. It just happens to be Ashley. Well, that's interesting. Hi, Mom. You still there? Well, she may not be. I don't know. It says I got one viewer, and there's a little purple crown with a 1 on it. So I'm guessing that's you. Oh, I got 3 viewers. How about that? Good afternoon, Margaret. There she is, Margaret Mom. M squared in the house. Y'all say hello to M squared. Ashley, say hello to M squared. Yeah. So I don't have a whole lot to talk about today. You know, the weather's been really nice here the last, I don't know, week or so, I guess. I like this time of year, you know, when the days are starting to get shorter and the weather seems to be a little more cooperative, a little cooler. Because it gets hot in the building that I work in. But, you know, we got bay doors. We do open them. And we let the air... How did you do that, Mom, with the M2? How did you do that? That's interesting. I've never seen to the second power. To the second power on the M before like that. That's neat. You'll have to tell me how you did that. Anyway, yeah, I like this time of year. Well, you know, it's nice when you can have a crosswind, which I do. I've got 2 fans, one on either side of me, blowing in all at the same time. And it's really nice because, you know, if I'm sweating at all, that fan makes my sweat a little cooler and it cools me down. So that's what I like about it. Yeah. I got 3 people watching. I need 2 more likes to match the people that are on here. So if you don't mind, if you haven't already liked my feed, just hit the screen twice and that'll give me 2 more likes for the other 2. Mom, did you give me a like today? Anyway, so there's my supervisor in the car next to me. That guy's he's a real trip. He's a little bit on the sporadic side, man, I must say. He's been doing a lot of cleanup and stuff at the shop. I didn't know we were hiring a maid or a housekeeper. I thought we would hire hey Dad, you have to watch the show called In the Dark. It's really good. In the Dark. Alright, it's on Netflix. Yay. I have to go feed the dogs. Yo was barking to get fed. Aw. Well, pat Yo on the head for me if you don't mind. Tell him I said hello. Or tell him I said duh. He'll know what you're talking about. Hello, more viewers. I got more viewers. Yay! Anyway, I didn't know we were hiring a housekeeper instead of a supervisor, because he doesn't really do much supervising. He's concentrating more on like the appearance of the shop and stuff like that. So whatever. But at least he's leaving me alone, and I don't have to worry about him. Of course, they leave me alone anyway, because you know I do have tenure there, and you know there's no reason to have to watch me all the time. I get enough of that at home. Oops, did I say that? Just messing. Oh boy. So anyway, it's a bright, sunshiny day. I don't have my glasses on today, or my sunglasses, because generally when I wear my sunglasses, I can't read the screen because, you know, the glare or whatever. So I don't have my sunglasses on today. I decided to go with my regular specs here. I did have to clean them though. My glasses get really dirty during the day. Like I said, I have 2 fans on me during the day at work, you know, to kind of stay cool, so I have a crosswind, and it was my hair. So your hair has natural oils in it anyway, and then when your hair hits your glasses, you know, it leaves that oily residue. So I clean my glasses like 10 or 12 times a day at least. You know, it's the only way I can see most of the time. And then, of course, that's a pretty big part of my job, because I'm looking at a computer screen all day. Well, not all day, but, you know, I look at a computer screen probably at least 4 hours out of the 10 hours I'm at work. I watch the computer screen, you know, uploading photos, and then I have to do some data entry and stuff like that on these vehicles that I do. Poor puppies, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm going home the long way today, just because it's, you know, it's a nicer ride. I'm not real fond of driving on Interstate 70, but I do that sometimes to get home earlier, you know, because it's one way. When I go one way, it takes like 10 minutes more than if I go down 70 going east towards St. Louis. So I go what they call Highway 364, which is what they call a page extension. It's like an outer loop through O'Fallon and St. Charles and St. Peter's, and on up into like the backside of Wright City. You know, like through. It doesn't go quite to Wentzville. Well, yeah, it goes through Wentzville. I'm sorry, it does. It goes through Wentzville, goes through O'Fallon, but it dead ends in Wright City on like Highway KK or LL or MNOP or something like that. I've driven it a few times. It's actually a pretty nice drive. A lot to see out there. A lot of country, you know, hills going up and down on the hills. Watch my signal. Okay, what's it doing? I can't tell. See, I don't see what you guys see, right? So when I'm doing my live videos, I can't tell whether or not my signal is blinking out on me. So, and I'm connected to the Wi-Fi in my car. So I've got this little bitty shark fin back here, you know, with all my Wi-Fi, you know, from a satellite somewhere. I don't know where the satellite's at, but my Wi-Fi signal in my car should be better than, you know, because I've got like the Max package or whatever from, I guess, the dealership. It's through OnStar, you know, so I should have nothing, so you don't lose it when it cuts out. Yeah, I know. Highway LMNOP. You know. Yeah, we have a lot of those letter highways around, you know. It's either numbers or letters, one of the two. Like I'm just passing over Highway N. N as in Nancy, you know. And then 364, I'm getting ready. I'm on Bryan Road right now. And I'm headed, well, let's see, right at the second I'm headed south, but I'm going to be headed east here in a minute. Anyway, did I already say it was a nice day? I did, didn't I? Right on. November what? Oh yeah, November. That's right. That's the military word for in November. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Make my left-hand turn here. Anyway, this is a more scenic route going home than 70 anyway. All I get on Interstate 70 is a bunch of stores and traffic, and at least this way I get some, country feel. Even though this area is growing, they really have built a lot more houses out this way. But it's expensive to live out here. I think like the starting price for houses out here now is like $450,000 or something like that. So you get a house that's 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, but you don't hardly get any land with it. I mean, you can reach out like one of the windows and touch the neighbor's house. So, and that's an advantage. Well, it's almost the same way at my house. I've got about 8 or 10 feet between my house where my driveway starts. Where my driveway starts to like the end of my driveway as you go across to the neighbor's house, it's only 5 feet wide, something like that. And then there's another 2 or 3 feet. So you're looking at 7 or 8 feet between my neighbor's wall and my wall. But it's an older house, so it's better insulated, and it's got those old asbestos siding panels on it. Plus, but that's underneath the siding. I've got vinyl siding as well, so I don't hear the neighbor and he doesn't hear me. Unless, of course, I'm dragging the recycles bin or the garbage bin between the houses, then it kind of echoes, But these houses out here, I mean, they're all cookie cutter houses. They're all cheaply made. You're not really paying, for like a quality house. You're really just kind of paying for the area. And I think the taxes are comparable to what I'm paying now. The only difference is that I live in St. Louis County, and these are all out in St. Charles County, which is you got a better I don't know, stability, I guess. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a better area because it's we don't have all the riffraff out here in St. Charles like we do. We got some Amish people to build your house. It's real sturdy. Yeah, that's right, MAGA. You happen to speaking of Amish people, I went to Ohio, a place called Salina, Ohio, and I'd seen like this. What was that TV show called? Amish Mafia, or something like that. It was about those Mennonites, that kind of keep an eye on the Amish community. The Mennonites are Amish, but they're a little more in tune with what's going on in society today. Like they have electricity, they have like comforts of gas and central heat and central air and stuff like that in their houses. Whereas your Amish people, your true Amish people, don't. So anyway, I went to a place called Salina, Ohio, and out of that area, it's not far from like an Amish community, and these houses are way out in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? So I imagine, unless the stars are really bright at night, it's probably pretty dark out there. We went during the day, and you can tell the difference between the Amish houses and the other houses. Number one, because there's no electrical wires anywhere around. I'm going in and out. Yeah, it figures. I'm on this freaking road. So it's probably, you'll probably lose me a couple of times, between here and home. It gets real bad down around, what is the name? Jungerman Road. It gets pretty bad going through Jungerman Road area. Fine on your end? Okay, that's cool. Very friendly. kind of standoffish people. Yeah, they're friendly. They just, they don't like outsiders, and they hate when you take their picture, because they think that when you take their picture, like the camera captures part of their soul, or at least that's their belief anyway. But anyways, as I was saying, all the Amish houses out in that area, none of them have electricity, and they use well water, so they have windmills out there that rotate, and I guess that's for their water. And then, they have firewood, to chop wood and stuff like that. But, what's really interesting is that those kids are like in survival mode. They teach their children how to survive. And that's probably one of the best things, kind of living off the grid, so to speak. So these kids are, even though they don't really have like friends, because they all go to school together, and it's all people in like the Amish community that go to their own school. They don't go to school with regular kids. And however, they do go into town, like for things they need to shop for. They make money. They're very productive, people. But they actually do go in and deal with, what they call English people. We're considered English to them. So they go, they get on their horse and buggy and they drive, 5 or 6 miles, to like the nearest store, and they go in and they get what they need, and then they leave. Whether it be material for like upholstery and stuff like that, dishes, I guess, because I wouldn't imagine they make their own dishes. So I guess they buy dishes, pots and pans and stuff like that, because those aren't things that are readily available to them. Unless, of course, they eat off of wood. They can make plates with wood, but I'm not sure how advanced that is, or how much work that is anyway. Let's see here. Amish are more like pilgrims in that time of living. Yes, absolutely, they are. They're self-sufficient, and everybody in their community helps each other out. You know what I mean? If you've got a family that, say for instance, if you got a family that a father, has hurt himself, like in the fields, or a horse kicked him and broke his leg or something, and he can't do his regular duties. The kids step up, if they're old enough, to help with some of that stuff, and then you've got the community people come in and help them as well, from around their area. So they're very self-sufficient people, and not like out here in regular society. I mean, we have people out here that do take care of each other, but not up to the extent that they do. It's interesting. Like the cultures are so different. Almost like when we were growing up. I don't know. Some of you may remember. When we were growing up, we didn't have remote control TVs. If you wanted to change the TV, you had to get off your duff out of the chair, walk across the TV, and change the channel with a clicker dial. You know what I mean? What's the difference between a criminal and an orphan? Criminal is wanted. Yeah, right. I hear you. So when I was a kid, I was a remote control. My mom was like, not the mom that's on here now, my biological mother. She wanted me to change the channel. She'd say, "Honey, do you mind changing the channel for me?" And then I'd have to change the channel, because there was always like, she wanted to watch wrestling or something like that. We didn't have cable TV back then, or at least not until I was a teenager. Now I did spend some time living away from home. As a kid, I was in foster homes and children's homes and stuff like that. But with the times that I was at home, I played, remote controls for my mom, You know, she used to have me change records and stuff for her on the record player. You know, she was busy around the house doing things. You know, I was like the DJ or whatever. But anyway, so then when I would change the channel, because the signal was different, from time to time, we had these things called rabbit ears, and they sat on top of the TV. Unless you were like upper echelon and able to afford like an outside antenna or the rotor, you know, for your antenna, you know, on top of the house or on a tower or something outside of your house. We didn't have that, but so we used rabbit ears, and these were just regular old rabbit ears, and they sat on top of the TV, and you would have to, you know, adjust them, and then they had these clickers that would like fine-tune the channels. You was born in 1995. Yes, you were. That's right. Let's see here. Yeah, the clicker was early thing. I was born in the 90s. Yeah, so it was still pretty. It was still pretty new. And it's like the original clickers that we had on the TVs. They had like push buttons, and they would click. You know what I mean? When you would change the channel, they would click. And they came along to cable boxes. Now the first cable boxes that I can remember had the push button on them for each channel, and it wasn't until later they became digital. You know. But anyway, so yeah, going back to what I was talking about a minute ago, we're going to go way back here in the conversation. Amish people are like the coolest people in the world, but they're very attentive too. So if you're driving down the road, now most of the roads that they live on are not as well maintained as your regular roads, so there's a lot of dirt roads that they live on, but they're also paved. It costs too much money to do that, so they put the asphalt down to let it dry. So the roads are a lot rougher out there. Of course, you know, with horse and buggy, you know, it's not so bad because you know you don't have a lot of traffic. You know what I mean? Every once in a while you'll see a car go through or whatever, but it's generally just somebody taking a shortcut, or you know, like some of the local people that go. You know, some of the Amish communities, they have stores and stuff. So, you know, they go to these stores and these restaurants, and there are certain places that, you know, they set these places up. And like I said, this is how they make their money. So, and, you know, they may do a little trading like within the community. You know, if somebody has a blanket and wants a pillow, they'll go trade a blanket for a pillow, or a pillow or a blanket, you know, something like that. Anyway, and I don't know for a fact that that's the simpler life. They're simpletons, basically. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm back now. I saw that. Gmail. Yeah, right. Okay. So, anyway, very cool people, but they're very attentive. Like I said, like there was a little girl. There was me and Dee, my better half, and her aunt and uncle were in a car. We were riding around because I wanted to see how the Amish live, you know what I mean? So we went out in their community and we were driving around, and it was a little girl standing beside a house right in front of the windmill. And it would have been a great picture, but as soon as we stopped the car, there was parents like looking to see what we were doing. You know what I mean? So they're very attentive to their children. And then there was another little kid riding a bike, you know, kind of across like his front yard. And these bikes don't have pedals. They're more like a surfboard with wheels on them. Of course, you know, they got handlebars and all that stuff to steer them. But he was riding across, you know, pushing it with his foot. He was riding across his yard, and we stopped to take a picture. And they were having like a cookout that day. And, you know, the men from the crowd came towards us on the road. Of course, now we took off before they got there, but, you know, if you remember earlier, I said that they don't like their photos taken because they feel like their belief is that when you take their picture, that the camera captures part of their soul. And these are some God-fearing people, and they need like their whole soul to complete their journey on earth into heaven or wherever it is they go. You sell propane and propane accessories. I hear you, Hank Hill. What the hell, Bobby? That's one of my favorite lines. But anyway, so that's cool though. But anyway, like I said, the Amish community, they're great people. Even though they don't really have anything to do much with outsiders. But Salina, Ohio is a really nice area. The biggest thing they've got going on there is high school football. The Salina, let's see, I think they're called the Pirates, was their Salina High School. I think that was their mascot, was the Pirates. And it's like, we went there on a Friday night. One of the other aunt and uncle lived, just across town from where the aunt and uncle we were visiting with live. So we went to their house, and the whole neighborhood was like slam packed full of cars on both sides of the street. And I was really surprised. I was like, what the hell is going on over here? And they were saying, it's the high school football. So there's like people walking up and down the road, from their cars to the to the stadium, and they're wearing all their team colors and everything. Really interesting. But I don't think I've ever seen, even in high school, I don't remember, high school sports being followed, by people in big cities. Got you another rug, Mr. Lebowski. Another rug. What do you mean? It's been a while since you've seen me, Magga. I'm not sure what you mean by that. King of the Hill. Yeah. Another rug. Hey, you know what? As a matter of fact, let's see. Where was I the other day? I was somewhere. Oh, I went to a trivia night over, I don't know, one of the other municipalities. I think it's no, it's not Maryland Heights, not Kirkwood, anywhere, somewhere like off of the city of St. Louis. He said propane, not cocaine. I hear you, buddy. But anyway, so I was talking to this girl, and she was handing out little coins, so you could do the Plinko thing. And I happened to one, and she goes, "Has anybody ever told you that you look like the Big Lebowski?" And I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have." Come to think of it, I said, I've got a YouTube channel, and I've got a guy that he calls me Lebowski all the time. So there you go, Magga. And she doesn't even know you. You know what I mean? But it was pretty cool. I mean, I get that a lot. You know what I mean? And then I go like, oh, who was that? It was like, what was it, Jeff Daniels or somebody like that? I get a lot of laughs and stuff like that. I got mustache hair. Sorry about that. I promise it wasn't a booger. It was a mustache hair. Anyway, so I crack myself up sometimes. So I don't have a drink today or anything to give anybody any shout outs or any plugs. Let's see what I got in my lunchbox here. I'll tell you what, we'll do the Belvita cookies today. These things are excellent. I like the ones that have the fruit in them. They're like cranberry and something else. They taste like Fruity Pebbles. These are the cinnamon and brown sugar ones. These are really good. They're good with milk, but they're even better with orange juice. But anyway, there you go, Belvita. There's your shout out for the day. All right. I don't have advertisers that support me or anything like that. I just give shout outs because it's fun. One of these days I'm going to come up with a lingo or like some kind of a jingle or something, Usually it's a Mountain Dew. I drink a lot of those Mountain Dew Kickstarts. I only drink one a day. One's enough, trust me. Because like in the afternoon, if I'm kind of run down from work, and I've had a long day, I drink one of those kickstarts and I'm like, woo! You know, it's like Lebowski on a freaking, I bought you some ice cream, Lieutenant Dan. Yeah, right. Lieutenant Dan. Yep. That guy made that whole movie, that Gary Sinise. What a trip that guy is, I swear. I couldn't think of a better person to play that part either. You know what I mean? That was excellent. I'm not a big fan of Tom Hanks though. Well, you know, MAGA. Well, I've done some research on Tom Hanks, but I'm not going to get into that. Kenny Rogers, yeah. What about Kenny Rogers? Let's see, who's number one in, okay, so number 2 is Ashley. Who's number 1? Oh, Mom. Mom, you still on? I haven't seen her comment in a while. She might be taking care of her puppies. Yep. Okay, she says, yep, she's still on. Good. So hopefully I still won't. How's my signal been, y'all? Pretty good today? So I did a live feed the other day. I had a bunch of people. I had like 458 people or something like that come in. And my numbers have been fairly decent. You know, I've got 553 subscribers now. So my first goal was 500. So I reached that goal. And I guess the way I did is I just, I put out a lot of like short videos and then, videos of concerts and stuff. Oh, Mom, speaking of concerts, Happy Together Tour is coming again. You might want to check your email and see if the Family Arena has sent you that contest, for the free front row seats, the grand prize or whatever. I tried it at work and they wanted me to sign into my Facebook. Because for each like social site you sign into or whatever, they'll give you like 3 or 4 entries or something like that. So I haven't done it yet. And of course, you know me, I've got like 3 or 4 different emails that I use. So I get emails from each one about these free concert tickets. So I got a feeling we're going to be going to see them. And I'm not sure, they're probably going to be on a Friday or Saturday night again. But then again, it just kind of depends. Now, let's see, 2 weeks, 2 weeks is like the 4th or something like that, 22nd. I'm not sure, but anyway, so I know they always have it either on a Friday or Saturday night, which will be really cool. So at the Happy Together, I need to go. I don't know. I'd like to get some autographs this time. So I was thinking about maybe buying, like a record by the Cowsills or was it Jay and the Americans is going to be there, the Turtles. I think Gary Puckett's coming this time, and then who was that black guy? Little Richard? No, not Little Richard. Somebody Little something or other. The black guy is going to be there again. And then there was one other band. I'm not really sure who they were. The Association. They're going to be there. I do like the Association a whole lot. Those guys are really cool. So I may try and get a record by at least one of those bands. Maybe get some. You're not going. Lucky ass, I want to go to a concert. Tom Hanks has some dirty past. Yes, he does. It cut out a couple of times, but it's okay now. Good. I'm going to take Jim to a concert on a sabbatical. Yeah. Woo, somebody's smoking weed. Is it you? Oh, it's the guy in front of me. I don't know why people want to do that. Smoke weed and drive a car. That's crazy. Stupid. It's crazy stupid. If you're a stupid driver, it makes you even a stupider driver. I don't get it. I mean, I guess if you have an addiction or whatever, I don't know. Maybe they think it's they legalized marijuana here, MAGA. Would you say you're in California, so you know what I'm talking about? More than likely. I don't know, man. It's like everywhere I go now, I smell weed all the time. Uh, back when I was in my 20s or something, it wasn't so bad. But I don't particularly care for it now. Um, anyway, Styx or Rush live, Billy Idol. I've seen Styx. I never got to see Rush. Rush was one of those bands that I always wanted to see, but never had a chance to, or couldn't afford to go because, those guys. I mean, like when they go to these arenas or concert venues, the tickets are always so damn expensive. I think the last time they played here in St. Louis, they played at our Enterprise Center, which is our downtown arena in St. Louis, and the tickets were like $125 for nosebleed seats. I'm not paying that much to see people this big on the stage. I'm not going to do it. So but if I was going to go, I would definitely spend a reasonable amount to sit closer, as long as it was within reason. I mean, like I'd pay $125 to see Iron Maiden and sit 6 rows off the stage, which I've done. And I've never seen Billy Idol. I wouldn't mind seeing Bill. I've seen Styx quite a few times. I've seen them in Charlotte with let's see, it was Styx and Jethro Tull, and then I saw Styx with Yes and somebody else here in St. Louis, and then I saw them at a music festival, like Point Fest or something like that. They came here. I think they were on tour with Boston and April Wine. I think that's when I saw them here again. Who else did you say? Jimmy Buffett. I never got to see Jimmy Buffett. But anyway, let me go back for a minute. So, hey MAGA, when you get a chance after I do my live feed, go look up a band called Thunderhead. 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 They do an Ultimate Rush experience. Now they play here. They're local to the St. Louis area, and I've seen them probably 4 or 5 times. So that's like the closest I've ever gotten to seeing Rush, even though it's not Rush. It's their music, but it's not them. But they're really good. And if you close your eyes, now try and watch a video where a guy named Mike Ramsey is the drummer. Mike Ramsey has got he's like Neil Peart was one of his like idols or something. But there's a solo that he did on what was it, Xanadu? Maybe I don't remember the song. I think it was Xanadu, where he does a drum solo on the Exit Stage Left album. But anyway, no, it's YYT. I'm sorry, it's YYT. And this guy Mike Ramsey can play that solo like note for note, beat for beat. Everything about it's exactly the same. So if you were sitting there listening to it, it would actually make you think, man, this guy's really good. And he is. He's really good. I think he moved to like Indiana or something. He plays with an AC/DC band now. The guy that took his place with Thunderhead, he's not as good. I mean, he's okay, but nobody that I know of, at least from the St. Louis area, plays drums like Mike Ramsey does. So look up some of his videos too. He's, like I said, this guy's phenomenal. He met Jerry Garcia and Gene Simmons and Hulk Hogan as a baby. Well, that's cool. I've never saw the Grateful Dead. I did see Widespread Panic. They're kind of like Grateful Dead. Iron Maiden shows are phenomenal. Yes, always. I've seen Iron Maiden, I think, more than anybody else. Meat Utters. Great show in San Diego. Okay. Gary Bucket. Gary Puckett. bucket as a baby. Skunkweed, yeah, that's what it is. Skunkweed. It's nasty. Ugh. You know, you'd think that they like, you know, the cosmetic beer. You know, they put flavor in the beer. You'd think they would do the same thing with marijuana, not to make it smell, to make it not smell so bad. I did get to see Ozzy. I saw Ozzy on the Bark at the Moon tour and the tour he did when they did the Speak of the Devil. Anyway, one tour I got to see him, Jake E. Lee was playing for him, and then the next time I saw him, Brad Gillis was playing with him. Unfortunately, I never got to see Randy Rhoads. But that was, you know, wow, man. Randy Rhoads was with them, what, on the first and second album. So I wasn't even a teenager yet. Yeah, the Bark of the Moon tour was awesome. That was a great show. And I think, who was it? Accept opened up for him on that tour, I believe, if I remember correctly. My very first concert was Kiss. In January the 5th, 1978 at Charlotte Coliseum. I was, I was 9 years old. No, wait a minute. Yeah, I was 9 years old when I went to that concert. And I had nightmares after that show, believe it or not. You know, because Gene Simmons, back then he spit a lot of fire and blood and stuff. And, man, that scared me to death. I didn't know what to think about that. But see, I was so young at that point, and I didn't know how concerts work. You know, of course, like I said, that was my very first concert. And like, you know, I had been to like the little theater and stuff in Charlotte. Strutter. Yes, Strutter was your first concert, Ashley. You guys, you and Dee Dee had a blast at that show. Strutter, if you don't know who Strutter is, MAGA, they're a Kiss tribute band out of, I believe they played out of Virginia Beach. They were pretty good. And then there's another Kiss band I saw called Cold Gin. Cold Gin was good. And then Kiss Army was like an official Kiss tribute band. I saw them at the Illinois State Fair a few years ago. But I did also see Kiss. Let's see, I saw them in 78, and then I saw them again on the Animalized tour and the Asylum tour and the Elder tour. And then I saw them on the, what was that, farewell tour they had, what was that, 1992 or 93 or something like that. It was like their very first, maybe it was later than that, maybe it was the 2000. Let's see here. Man, that may have, yeah, it was later than that. It must have been 2003 was like their original. That and Becky. Strutter is a good song. Yep. Becky. I don't know about Becky. Casey and the Sunshine Band with Village People at the Ozark Amphitheater. What, Saturday night? This Saturday? Oh, no. Yeah, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I wouldn't mind seeing them, but I don't. That's a little bit too short a notice for me. I'm sorry, Mom. I like them, but I don't like them that much. KC, the Village People. Remember when McDonald's used to fry their fries in beef tallow? Yeah, I know I don't. I don't remember. I mean, I remember eating McDonald's fries, but God, I haven't had McDonald's fries in, I bet you it's been 10 years or better since I've eaten McDonald's. I just don't. I saw that movie. What was it, Super Size Me? And that changed my mind about McDonald's. So, and then I heard I saw some stuff on McDonald's about the meat. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. If you've done any time in a rabbit hole, you probably know what I'm speaking of. Yeah, no thank you. No more McDonald's for me. They switched the fry grease from beef tallow to some other grease. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we have a restaurant here. I don't know if you do there. It's called Steak and Shake. We have a Steak and Shake here. There's not many of them left, but the one that's closest to us, they had a sign on the side of their building that they've started using beef tallow. Yeah, McDonald's used to serve real meat, then got big and changed to pink slop. Yes, it is. It's nasty now. Well, you know what happened is and the way that was explained in the movie, if you haven't seen Super Size Me yet, um, they actually talk about how McDonald's, in order to get the protein levels up, because they were using junk meat, that they would put grub worms, because grub worms are high in protein, and they would put grub worms in their burgers. And like if you take a bite of some of their burgers, every once in a while you can actually see, pieces of these grub worms. It's nasty as hell. That's a lot of the reason too I quit eating McDonald's. But it's like, this thing with Burger King, for instance, they had like the Impossible Whopper, and then they had the regular Whopper. It's almost like, are they selling now the Impossible Whopper is just a regular Whopper? I mean, how do you know for real if you're getting an actual Whopper with beef versus a Whopper with plant? You see what I mean? That's kind of strange. Bill Gates has made a 3D printer for meat, and it's made with bugs. Yeah, somebody put out a video on YouTube. It must have been like a couple of weeks ago. I ran across a video where a woman bought some steaks or something from like Walmart or one of those other stores like that, and they were showing about like how stringy it is and how easily it came apart. Meat, when it's raw, it doesn't just come out apart in strings, and this stuff was like really stringy. So I'm guessing, yeah, you're right, barf. Yeah, that's right, Ashley, barf. It's amazing the things you can learn on YouTube, even if you're not trying to. Yeah. Man, it's 5:21, 22. I left work at 4. That can't be right. Is that right? Is it 5:22? Oh, I've been on for 47 minutes. So that makes sense. Okay. I guess that's what I get when I take the long way home. All right. Well, listen, folks, I'm going to get out of here. I've enjoyed this chat. It's nice to be able to, kind of carry on conversations with people when I do these videos. Your sweet thing is waiting for you. Yeah, I know she is. If you go to a restaurant and your meat's stringy and tastes weird, ask them where they got the meat from. Well, I don't eat out a whole lot anymore. All right. Take it easy there, MAGA. We'll talk at you next time. I'm working 10 hours. Well, I don't know. Friday, I did a video yesterday. I usually don't do videos on Tuesdays. Bye, baby. Ashley. I usually don't do videos on Tuesdays, but I did one yesterday. It didn't do that well. I guess nobody was expecting me to be. I love you too, Ashley. But I may do one tomorrow and then again on Friday and see if I can hit it all 5 days this week. But I'll be on around the same time, 4:30 Central Time, because I've been working 10 hours. I may take off a little early on Friday. I'm not really sure. Okay. Yeah, horse around. We'll talk at you later. All right, y'all. Take it easy. Peace. We'll see you later.